Welcome to this introductory tutorial video on programming your modular conveyor ecosystem using MachineLogic. Once you've finished with the design of your conveyor line, you can navigate over to the MachineLogic tab to get started. Now the first step will be configuring your conveyor. This is assigning the motors and actuators to the specific motor mounts. In our case, we've already done this for the first half of our conveyor, acting as a single straight conveyor, and I'll do this with the second half over here. So our skew conveyor will have two different zones, meaning we'll have to add two actuators. From here, you can hover over the type to make sure you're going to be naming the correct one. So hovering over the type dropdown, we can see that it's highlighting the one on the left. So we'll name this skew zone 1. And then hovering over the bottom one, you can see it's hovering the one on the right. So we'll call this one skew zone 2. Now from here, the only other thing that we need to configure is the sensor that you'll see at the end over here, which will act as a box stop sensor. The idea is that it'll stop the conveyor from running once the box reaches it. So we'll add an input and name it box stop. So once we've done with the configuration, we can go over to home and select our conveyor application. So this starts off as a Python application, but you can download the JSON file from our website to preload all the configurations necessary to get started programming your conveyors. Once you're done, to actually be able to program it, what you'll first have to do is click on Simulate, which will then load up the engine, allowing you to modify your HMI, and click on Open HMI. And this will be the conveyor app that you'll be interfacing with. We'll start off by clicking on New Conveyor. In our case, we'll be programming 3 different conveyor sections, so we'll add a total of 3 of them. Now the behavior that we want is for the end portion of our conveyor, the one on the right over here, to be the leader, and the other 2 sections to follow its actions. So if it's on, the other portions will run, and if it's off, the other portions will stop. So we'll program first the rightmost section, which will be skew zone 2. Now you'll notice in the drop-down menu there are multiple different conveyor types, but we'll only be highlighting 2 of them now. So we'll select first simple conveyor, skew zone 2. Now the motor type can either be AC or DC. For DC, referencing our stepper servo motors, and then you can modify the speed, acceleration, as well as deceleration. Now for the box sensor, we'll select box stop and leave the wake up sensor configuration location blank. This means you can add a sensor to trigger the conveyor to start running based on that input. Now the other 2, we want to follow the programming of the first. So with that, we'll select a follower conveyor for both of them. Now we select which ones we want to be, so skew zone 1 and straight conveyor. And finally, which conveyor do we want it to follow? In our case, skew zone 2. Once you're done, it is very important to click on Apply Settings before closing out this window. So we'll close this out, stop the simulation for now, and then using our box input modal, have one box populate to actually show the simulation running. So from here, we'll click Simulate. You'll see the box pop up. And then from here, we'll open up the HMI and press Start to actually see the conveyors run. Close this out, and you'll see the rightmost portion starts first, followed by the second and leftmost. If I do a top view, you'll actually able to see the skewed conveyor work in action, slightly moving the box index in the top left corner. Once it's reached the end, the idea is that it triggers the sensor to stop the functioning of the conveyor. And that is the entirety of the intro to programming your modular conveyor ecosystem using MachineLogic. Thank you for watching, and happy design.